You're listening to The Coach Show with Coach Banks, Coach Swanson, Coach Kozlerich, and Coach Doherty on the Coaching Culture and Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. Sit back and enjoy the show. The views and opinions discussed in this podcast are not necessarily the opinion of the host or the Coach Show on the Coaching Culture and Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. Let's get it done.
All right, so I'm unmuting all the coaches. It is Sunday, the last Sunday of April, and we're still kind of stuck in our basements or our homes or upstairs, this, that, and the other. I want to welcome you to another Coach Show tonight, and you're in for a real treat because this is Coach Doherty's teammate. Coach Doherty, I'm going to let you introduce him, and also I want you to fill everybody in on who would win the one-on-one against you two.
So we're really lucky tonight to have Coach Freitag from Monmouth College. We were teammates at MC, and then both left for a while. He got to come back and is now the offensive coordinator at Monmouth College, also coaches the line, and is just a fantastic dude. So we're super excited to have him. No doubt he would destroy me. He's look at him. He's a monster of a man. He's an athlete. And kind of a cool little fact here, he's also a musician. I believe, was it violin and cello? Or
Yeah, just violin.
Violin,
Yeah.
okay. Violin. So the dude is multi-talented. Just awesome. So we're excited to have him.
Well, just so you know, I did play the trombone, all 4 years in high school. So I'm digging the violin and the cello. That's pretty awesome. Now, you're not going to get away with not answering the 5 hot seat questions. Are you ready for the first one?
I'm ready.
All right. Everybody's going to answer tonight because I just think it's more fun that way. But here's let's see. Here's the first question. Coach Freitag, would you rather be invisible or able to read minds?
Oh, I think I'd rather be able to read minds. Just being able to, that's a crazy superpower. Both of them would be great. I'm going with mind reading, though. You know the answer to everything.
My wife seems to think that I'm a mind reader, so I'm going to go with that too because I'm not. We'll go around. Other 3 coaches, just jump in and say what you want.
As a football coach, I would love to be a mind reader, especially offensive guy. Like, go ahead and tell me what you're going to do, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, definitely mind reader. I'm going to make the sweep, mind reader.
Well, I can see Coach Kozlerich in his invisible cloak looking at my enormous play call sheet. I can see that. Uh-oh, did we lose Joe? What happened? Okay, all right. So we'll just wait on him here, but I'm going to guess technical difficulties and that sort of stuff happens. And now all of a sudden we're probably going to see people drop off because they don't want to listen to this. But anyway, we'll go ahead and share this. Quentin Ross again, and your mama was the first person, and Ryan Wilson. Go Blue Boys. So that's pretty awesome. All right, There's Joe. Man, we were freaking out, man. We didn't know what happened. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
okay. I was just kidding about the invisibility thing.
Well,
All right.
just trying to make the show happen,
All right. Here's the next question. If you could be any supernatural creature, what would you be and why?
Oh boy, supernatural creature. I like what I don't even what does that mean?
I mean, the door is wide open, Coach. I mean, it could be anything.
Okay, so I don't know about supernatural creature, but I'm gonna anything with the power of flight. I think that would be pretty cool.
Coach Kosrich?
I'm going to go with Bigfoot. The dude is massive, but not very many people see him. I mean, come on.
You didn't pick the invisibility cloak.
I know, but he's there. He doesn't need to be invisible.
Coach
Doherty. Invisible.
Coach Doherty?
Yeah, I was going to go with Sasquatch. I mean, he's got a sweet beard and muscular. Let's go.
Coach Bryant?
Definitely the Loch Ness Monster, just because he's a legend.
Yeah, you know what? I want to be Darth Vader, but before he got burned up and destroyed by his mentor. Well, let's go with that one. All right, few more questions. These are kind of off the wall tonight, but here's a good one, especially in today's day and age, Coach Freitag. If you had to delete all but 3 apps from your smartphone, which ones would you keep?
How many do I get to keep?
You can only keep 3.
Okay. Well, I've got to keep my email on my phone.
I got to look at mine.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost him again. Well, while we're waiting, Coach Doherty, you want to go next?
Yeah, first, Coach Freitag better say Twitter. His Twitter game is getting really, really good. So mine would be Twitter. I love Twitter. Instagram and Facebook. I'm boring.
Yeah, well, no, you're getting old like me. See, so it's going through there. Coach Kosrich, while we're waiting on Coach Freitag.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep Twitter, Spotify, and then my Channel 13 Warn Me app for the weather.
Ooh, Coach Bryant.
Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify.
All right, this one's going to be it's pretty important, but I'm going to keep iHeartRadio because you can listen to the Coach Show live 24/7 anytime on iHeartRadio. Be sure to check that out. Did you see what I did there? Facebook and Twitter. I got to keep the tweets. Okay. Do you want to message him and ask him if he's good?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous, especially when everyone's talking about Sasquatch and Bigfoot and visibility cloaks. It's it really is. There he is. I think he's back. Okay. All right. So I got that you had to keep your email. What would be the other 2?
Okay, I'm keeping email. I'm keeping Twitter and Snapchat. Okay.
Well, that's extremely good because Coach Doherty says that your Twitter feed is out of this world, and you know what? I'm going to hold him to that. All right, 2 more questions. Hopefully we don't kick here, but these aren't too bad. What sport would you compete in if you were in the Olympics?
Good question. It's got to be maybe weightlifting 15 years ago or something. Yeah, curling. I'm going to go curling because athletically I can compete them.
Ooh, I dig the curling. Coach Bryant. Basketball. Coach Kaz.
Ping pong. How awesome does that look?
All right, Coach Doherty.
Yeah, mine wrestling for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna go off the cuff here and say badminton. I think I could take on those folks, that Chinese group that my God, they were out of this world.
You should do Sepak Takraw.
Yeah, I know it. All right, so the final question, and then we're going to start talking about football and culture and all that sort of stuff. Coach Freitag, I apologize for all these crazy questions, but I think they're awesome. As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, probably a musician, to be honest.
I like that. Coach Kaz?
Man, I think just a professional athlete. Sports were a big deal in my life growing up, so anything that I could do doing sports.
You wouldn't believe how many times that I used to hit rocks in front of the house, and how many times I hit the house and Dad would come out and yell, and he says, "You're never going to be George Brett, Chuck." It was one of those things. Coach Doherty?
Yeah, probably a professional athlete as well. Ironically, with your last question, I think when I was 5, I started dreaming of being an Olympic wrestling champion. So that was kind of my goal throughout childhood, was to be an Olympic champion. But
Oh man, Coach Bryant.
Definitely a professional basketball player with being a teacher as a fallback.
Yeah. Well, when I was growing up, guys, believe it or not, I wanted to be the voice of the Chicago Cubs. Can you believe that?
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. But anyway, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty here. Coach, Monmouth College. You want to tell everybody, what division this college is in, what they're all about? Because I am hearing "Go Blue Boys." I'm not sure what that. What's that mean?
Yeah, so we're an NCAA Division III school, and we're in the Midwest Conference, so we play teams from Illinois, Wisconsin. There's one team up in Minnesota, a couple teams over in Iowa. And what was the tail end of your question?
What is he talking about, Blue Boys, guys?
Oh, Blue Boys. Yeah, that's a team south of us, down in Jacksonville, Illinois, who we compete against once a year, and we've done pretty well against them here lately.
Oh,
come on, Coach Wilson. Come on, man.
I knew what Coach Wilson was talking about, but I just wanted to make sure that I threw that out there. It's all in good fun. Now you got to play at Monmouth, and now you get to coach. I mean, that's got to be exhilarating, to go back to your alma mater and do what you love, right?
Yeah, it's very cool. Like, I live 200 feet from our football field. I met my wife here at school. And so to be able, and I think anytime you get asked to come back to a place that you've been is special. But yeah, I had a lot of great memories here as a football player and as a student athlete here at Monmouth, and made a bunch more memories here as a coach that have been pretty good.
And I got to say that I have mad respect for anybody that coaches the big uglies. The guys up front, the guys in the trenches, the guys that are, they're full of sweat and they don't care and all that sort of stuff. So, props off to that. Unlike you specialty guys, you three up in the corner. It is kind of funny, Coach. I remember when I showed up and I started here at Central Lee, and I was on Coach Hoffman's staff, and he looks at me, in the interview, and he says, "Well, you're a big guy. You must be a lineman, coach." And I didn't have the heart to tell him, "Hey, man, I was a safety and a wide receiver and a wishbone offense." It's just a lot of fun. But so your passion, your exhilaration, you have to be. It's almost like especially over the course of this coronavirus pandemic, it's almost like our bubbles have popped. How are you keeping in contact with your players, and how are you keeping them up?
Yeah, thank goodness for technology, and Zoom and Snapchat are fantastic products. And so we, like our O-line here at Monmouth, we have a Snapchat group chat. So there's some ridiculous things that are posted in there. But probably about every hour or so, somebody is sending something. So, like I like to smoke a lot of meat. So like, I'll just send pictures of food to my guys, and, and just staying in touch and checking in with the guys every day is pretty easy really anymore, and pretty cool. So,
how many calories a day does a college offensive lineman eat?
Oh, I'm trying to think. I'm thinking back to like when I played. I think I was like 8,000 a day one summer. So, I'd say that 8,000 to 10,000 range is pretty standard if you're trying to gain weight. Now, I've got some guys on the opposite side of that too who are trying to slim down a little bit. So they're probably closer to 2,500, 3,000 calories. They're eating like a normal human being, hopefully.
Coach Kozarich, I'm telling you, I try to eat like a normal human being, and it's like I'm eating 10,000 calories a day. But anyway, I'm going to let Coach Bryant have the first question from the board, because I always leave him to last. I don't want to do that tonight, Coach.
That's okay. So my first one for you. I was a D3 athlete too. I played at Central College up in Pella. So I'm sure when you're recruiting, sometimes you get some of those athletes that may not think of D3 right away, maybe D1. They hope to go D1, but D3 is kind of their fallback. So how do you kind of convince these athletes that D3 is just as competitive and just as serious as D1 athletes are?
Yeah, I think a big thing for us is if we can get guys to campus, they see the great people that we have here, and we've got some awesome facilities, and just get them to interact with our current players. And they'll see that we have guys that are super serious about football and super serious about developing as student athletes, and they'll see if they fit in with those guys, or maybe they don't fit. But as far as Division III to Division I, I think our guys take it just as serious. It's not the same time commitment probably, and not the same consequences probably for if we lose.
Oh, we lost him, and he was going over some really great input there, and we'll get him back. I'm going to guess that Illinois must have a tax surcharge on internet. Is that what's going on? I'm not sure, guys, but all my Illinois listeners, I apologize for that last statement, but sometimes for whatever reason, at least we can hear him tonight, and I want to get that guy back, that had the 4.25, but that was like Mr. Roboto, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think he's back. All right, Coach. We'll let you finish up that sentiment. You're good.
Yeah. I think we get guys who are just as serious about being great at football. Just maybe their impact here is going to be a little bit different, and maybe they're developing physically on a different timeline. We've got a guy right now who's hopefully going to be a free agent in the NFL next year and be able to get into a training camp. And had he been as physically developed like he is now, every Division I school in Illinois would have recruited him out of high school. He grew a couple inches and gained 50 pounds in college. So a lot of it's about like guys' timeline development, or that timeline of when they're peaking physically, I think.
Absolutely. I am going to chime in and ask you this question because this one's always important. Especially if you have a son or a daughter that's going to school. What type of advice would you give to a junior or a senior that's looking into your organization or another organization, as far as whether it's ready to commit or it's ready to look for another organization?
I think the big thing is to obviously. With the COVID, it's a little bit different, but you got to get out and see the campuses. Hopefully, once we get back to some semblance of normalcy here in the next couple months, or you get out and you get a feel for what you're interested in after you see a couple places, and you interact with the people on campus and see, hey, I think I could really play for these people. I really like this school for these reasons, and I fit in well here. And you don't really know until you go see a place physically and go interact with those people. So that's my advice. Just go see some places, find out what you're really interested in, and then be able to compare some places.
Coach Doherty, you look back at your time at Monmouth, and your hair still stands up. Your saliva's coming out. You're excited, like you would run through the wall there. What makes Monmouth so special?
Yeah, it's kind of cool getting to talk to Coach Freitag and thinking about my time there and going through that recruiting process, what he was just talking about, sitting in the Huff Center, with Coach Bell and Coach Braun was there, getting to talk to these guys. And kind of a weird, I guess, story is I remember sitting in the office talking to Coach Bell, and within 10 minutes of talking to him, I leaned over to my dad and I said, I want to be like him when I grow up. I was already 18 years old, but just the way that he presented himself and how calm and collected he was and confident at the same time. And like Coach Freitag said, that was a Coach Bell message, was get out and go see other campuses, because we're confident in what we have here. And I was attracted to that. I wanted to be a part of that. And the culture there was something way bigger than anything I had ever experienced. And I was hook, line, and sinker. I was in. I loved it. So.
Yeah. You look at Division III. It doesn't make any difference. Coach Bryant, your time at Central and seeing these Division III campuses. I mean, they're just as good as some of these other organizations, right?
Oh, absolutely, if not better. We had small class sizes. I'm sure this is about the same as Monmouth College. So, and even if you were more academically focused, and those professors knew me by name, and I knew a lot of people on campus, which D1 schools, you don't necessarily get to have that opportunity.
Now, Coach Kaz, have you had many Division III schools up trying to get some of these Panorama football players here recently?
We've got a couple kids playing right now at some D3 schools. And then we got a big recruiting class actually coming out this year that are going to be seniors that we're really excited about. So they got some interest coming around from different places, and we're excited about them. But kind of like you guys said, you got to get out to campuses. You got to see it. And that's what we tell our kids, go look at things. We're not going to tell you where to go necessarily, but you need to get out there and experience as many things as you can. And that way, when you're going into something, you're confident in your selection, and not just forcing your hand.
Absolutely. Now, Coach Freitag, when you're working with these O linemen, what type of speed and agility drills do you utilize and try to hammer out, to get them to improve to be a starter quality athlete in your organization?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the bigger guys is working on some body awareness. So, like within offensive line movement, being able to know what your feet are doing and where they are while being able to stay in an athletic position is super important, and something that like a lot of, especially the bigger guys, it seems like those guys who we recruit were like 6'5" and just really big humans. They really struggle where like they have no idea where their feet are going while they're moving around. Whereas like you take a receiver and like they're super coachable. You ask them to take a specific step and they can do it pretty easily. Or those big guys, a lot of them, like if they don't play basketball or wrestle in high school, they are like sometimes like lost puppies out there. So I say that's like the biggest thing is just trying to get them kind of be cognizant of specific movement and be under control.
Coach Doherty, I'll let you have the next question, bro. I know that I've jumped over you a few times.
It's all good. Hey, you guys in the Coach Braun era have had a phenomenal conference record, something like 38-2, I believe. How has Monmouth College sustained such great success just year in and year out?
Yeah, I think players, you guys know coaching athletes, if you got the guys, they make your jobs pretty easy. So we coached a lot of really good, a lot of really great players, really. So hopefully we can continue to do that. But, credit to Coach Braun, he's kind of taken over from Coach Bell, who had a great run here and kept the ball rolling and kind of taken a couple steps further. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of years, see where we can take the program.
Coach Kaz, the old saying is that if you're good, it's the players, and if you're bad, it's the coaches. Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't remember many good teams without good players. So I was kind of thinking about that the other day. It's funny how if you have a lot of success, everybody says, well, you had good players. But if you didn't have a good success, it's the coaches. So
Now, you're also the offensive coordinator. How big is your script? At the top end.
It's pretty substantial. A lot of it depends on how veteran we are. So, for instance, in 2016, we had a ton of seniors. We had I want to say I had 7 or 8 seniors on offense. So my script was gigantic. I mean, I had 10 base pass concepts and 10 base runs, as opposed to this year, I had 3 base run plays we're taking into every game, no matter what, and maybe 3 pass concepts, drop pass concepts. So it just depends on what those guys can handle, and the more they can handle, the more I'm willing to take into a game. But how much can you get good at with a group is different year to year. So until we're super efficient at operating, I tend to not continually add stuff. So this year, not so much.
Coach Kaz, I'll let you have the next question. Looks like you're chomping at the bit.
Yeah, actually, I think I love having lineman coaches on here because I think the lineman position is so undercoached at the high school level and down below. If you could just kind of give us a run through about what your guys' kind of offensive philosophy is or identity, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, okay. So we're a gap scheme team. So that means we're running like gap scheme plays, which are where guys are blocking their inside gap. They're responsible for a specific spot, essentially. And we're going to pull a couple players and insert a couple other positions at times. And the way I think about it is like the tip of a spear. And this is how I explain it to my guys. We're going to have guys who are part of the down block, and they're one half of the spear. And then we have guys who are part of the kick outside, and they're the other half of the spear. And so you kind of make this point in a specific gap that you're attacking the defense, and and then you want your runner to run to the tip of the spear. So I think that's a pretty easy way to kind of explain what you're trying to do in a simplistic way. Okay? And then, we'll mix in. This year we were a little bit more of a zone team just because it fit our personnel. And so kind of everybody stepped in one direction and trying to move downfield and kind of work all in unison, all together. And I'd agree with your statement that the line is probably the most undercoached position in high school football. Like some of the guys we recruit like have bad film, but the athletic ability that you can see, like you just see him move a little bit, and you're like, oh man, like I'd love to coach this guy. Like his feet are a mess. If we just get him to take a couple steps, like he's super aggressive. We just have to get him coached up a little bit. And so, like the biggest thing I do with my first year guys when we're transitioning guys into the program, just trying to get them to play with the proper amount of effort. Very rarely do I get a first year player that knows how to play. Like, and by that I mean block through the echo to whistle. Like I'll get guys who block for 2 or 3 steps, and then they're like washing the ball downfield. I'm like, man, you got the chance to impose your will here, buddy. Like you're on film watching the play here. From standby on the sidelines now. So I think that's like the biggest thing is just getting like you just have how to play hard. Like it sounds simple, but it's incredible.
Yeah, I love that because I think every coach in America has shown film, and they see their offensive lineman looking behind them to see what's going on, and you're like, what are you doing? And it's difficult, it's frustrating.
I do have a story. It's a Coach Hoffman story where he said he oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, it's super unnatural. Like you don't play any game with your back to the ball for the whole game. You're not facing the ball, and so trying to get kids used to that whole idea, like it's pretty foreign. So like I get it in high school. It's not an easy thing to get kids to buy in or develop at it.
Well, see, that's when you pull up a seat next to you, you pull them on the side, you give them a bag of popcorn, and say, "Hey, you're watching a really good game. Do you want to play?" Oh man,
That's right.
All right, Coach Doherty, I'll let you have the next one, buddy. I'm talking too much. It's too much Harry Carey tonight.
Coach Freitag, really interested to see how you would describe your coaching style. I've been lucky enough. You've allowed me to come over and follow you around at camps, and during spring ball. How do you describe your coaching style?
How do I describe what?
Your coaching style.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't catch you there.
Coaching style.
Oh, coaching style. Okay, so I'm a pretty positive coach. I try to be pretty energetic and get fired up when my guys do things right, and be excited about it. And at the same time, try to get them to be serious and all that stuff. And we're an up-tempo offense. So I think that kind of keeps the ball rolling and moving, and trying to be a high-energy guy all the time. I think that helps with it. So, yeah, I think those things kind of describe me as a coach. Just trying to be positive, and like on plays, things could be terrible for, like things can be totally wrong with his technique. But if he got in a good stance, there's one positive. And if you can, try to, so you're going through first step's terrible, second step never happens, and his hat placement's wrong, but his stance was good. You can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. That's the old saying, right? So I think a little bit of that goes a long way. Now, I probably need some more honey and need to be a little bit more positive at times, but that's what I'm trying to do.
I think we could all use a little bit more honey, Coach Bryant.
Yeah, definitely.
Coach Kaz.
You said that you guys were moving more towards a zone scheme this year compared to what you typically have done with your gap scheme. What influences that? Is it the type of athletes you have, or is it the maturity or the age, or what really influenced you guys to move more towards zone this year compared to where you were last year?
Yes, big things, personnel. So this year we started 2 freshman guards, had a sophomore center, a senior right tackle, a junior left tackle. So the 2 tackles had quite a bit of experience, and the right tackle in particular was a phenomenal player. He's the best player I've ever coached. And both those guys are super athletic. So just from the beginning, we kind of decided to run like a mid-zone type play and make that the base of our offense. And so I think anytime you're looking at putting together an offensive structure, you've got to say, well, who am I working with? What can my kids do? What do I do really good at? And then, from there, then start to think about, okay, so that's what we did for our guys up front with Zelda. And then, what's the backfield good at? What can those guys do? What can they do at level? So we got undersized backs who are pretty quick and pretty dynamic, but they're both pretty small. All the guys we played this year are pretty small. We don't really have a bruiser back there, so we don't really want to run straight ahead in A-gap time. If we can get those guys out in space a little bit, that's kind of what their strengths are. So putting together offensive philosophy, that's what it comes down to.
I think for whatever reason, a lot of coaches, a lot of times, I don't know whether it's because they have a bruised ego and they have to, run a certain style of offense, year after year after year, or what it is. But I agree with you. It's evolve or die in many aspects. We had some quietness there. Coach Doherty, I'll let you have the next question.
Yeah, Coach Freitag, who are some of the coaches that have had the most influence on you throughout your playing career into your coaching career?
Okay, so number one is going to be my high school coach, Ken Leonard, down at Sacred Heart Griffin. He's still coaching. Just a tremendous impact. I talk to him almost weekly. especially with the COVID stuff, I'm talking to him a little bit more now. It seems like I interact with him a little bit more, but I mean, he's a strong Christian coach, and just had that influence on me as a young man, and can't say enough good things about Christ. And then coming up next, and I had a great old line coach there, John Swinsky. Derek Leonard, boy. Yeah, Derek was a blue boy. Had some big time wins down in Jacksonville when he played there. Big win against St. Norbert. I think that has to be one of the big in school history. And I think he might have called the offense as he played quarterback in college. In like, I don't know, it had to be the early 2000s down there. But yeah, I'd say Derek Leonard's a pretty big influence on me too. All he can do is win. He wins every game he's thinking coaches in. And then I had a great old John Swinsky at Sacred Heart Crescent, who was an older guy and just salt of the earth, just old school fundamentals. And I feel like I learned so much fundamentally in school. And I was such an advantage to college, where like I came in as a pretty polished player. Now, athletically, I had to develop and get a lot bigger. I think I weighed like 245 pounds coming into college, but I felt like I had a huge advantage there. And then in college, man, like every coach on our staff had a big impact on me. Like those guys helped me get my career started. So Coach Bell is now up at Augie and with Coach Ragone, and then Coach Braun here, who I now work for, and still he daily has a huge influence on my life. All those guys have been tremendous impact. So, yeah.
Now, I have to ask you this. What's your pro football team?
Man, so it's a tough one because I think I kind of follow coaches more than I do like a specific team anymore. So, there's a guy from my high school who coaches for the Chiefs now, and so I root for those guys. But I grew up being a Bears fan, unfortunately. So, if I had to root for somebody, I suppose I'd root for the Bears. I don't watch a ton of professional football just because I think my wife might divorce me if I watch any more football at home. But like right now, if I'm going to go watch football, I'm going to turn on some offense that I think we're similar to, and maybe do some study work. So, I'd like to go watch the Rams a little bit. I'd go watch the Chiefs too, just offensively, get some new ideas.
I just asked because I had an inkling, as many plays as you had on your script, that you might be kind of an Andy Reid guy.
Yeah, I think any line coach has got to respect him. Yeah, like that. Yeah, absolutely. Now I don't come up with a big monster call sheet. Like I come out with a normal sheet of paper. I'm not covering up my mouth or anything while I call plays. I don't do any of that. I'm just a normal small college football coach. But yeah, Andy Reid, awesome coach, man. He's been doing it for a long time. That's for sure.
Coach Kozarich, I know that we're down to almost 5 minutes left, and I know that you probably have 30,000 more questions for this guy.
Yeah, I have a ton of questions. I guess, can you talk us? Obviously, we have a lot of people in here. Tyler's a young coach, looking to climb the ladder, obviously, and I know a lot of other young coaches, myself included. Can you kind of take us through your journey to get where you've reached at now, along the ways, and some things that, looking back, you might wish you would have known before you reached where you are today?
Yeah, in college football and in college athletics, I think it's so much more about who you know than what you know or what you've accomplished. It's like every job I've gotten, I haven't interviewed for a job since I was a GA. In any sort of real interview, like I've had all those jobs, but it's 100% me just knowing people and having a connection to those staffs. And so I think as a young coach, that can be very frustrating because you really don't know that many coaches in the college world. As an actual coach, man, like I know a lot of people say like just sit back and listen and try to soak in a lot of knowledge, and I kind of think the opposite. I'm like, man, for our young guys, I want them to fake it till they make it. Like, I want those guys to just have confidence, to have ideas in offensive staff meetings. I want them to try to get a board for third downs or red zone. Like, I want them to be into it. And so I always say, fake it till you make it. Like, if you don't have a footwork drill as a receiver coach, make one up and have one for the guys. So that'd be my advice is just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to be wrong. Like, what's the worst thing that happens if you're wrong? And I believe, Coach Doherty, you probably can't hang with that guy in basketball.
Hey, just so you know, Coach Freitag, he's a center, a really good center. He has a sweet mullet. You should give him a call sometime. This dude could play at the next level.
Okay.
He's a good baseball player, too.
He's a good athlete. And, again, a sweet mullet.
All right, so I'm going to put that back up there one more time, just so everyone can see that, right? Jeez, at least you're taking the beating, right? I'm not. I don't. When you're taking a beating, that means I don't have to, which is that's kind of a good deal here. But we're literally down to the last 3 minutes here, Coach. What piece of advice would you give, to a person that's that's really got their heart set on, going D2, D1, but they're really a D3 player. How do you tackle that conversation?
Well, I think a lot of that figures itself out, to be honest. If you're a D1 guy, you're offered already going into your senior year, 9 times out of 10. Very few of those guys, maybe the preferred walk-on guy, which we'll run into recruiting some preferred walk-on guys. But I think the timeline of it really sorts itself out. If you're not visiting those scholarship programs before Christmas break, it probably isn't happening. So, and if those guys aren't inviting them on visits and we are, a lot of times they'll come visit us. We're the ones recruiting them. So we don't run into it that often, just because the caliber of athletes are night and day. Like we might run into it where we're going up against a kid who's got a preferred walk-on at Illinois or some Division II money on the table. The Division II one we run into a lot more often, where it's just and then you just try to show them that we're the right fit for them, and maybe we are, maybe we're not. But if you're on enough of those guys, you're doing something right. You're gonna have a pretty good team put together. So, my left tackle right now is from Springfield, Illinois. He had several Division II scholarship offers, but we ended up being the best fit for him here at Monmouth. So we ended up getting him. So thank goodness.
That's fantastic. Now, hey, I was going to ask you a question if you would be interested in maybe coming on sometime during the week and putting on kind of a mini clinic on zone blocking scheme.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be great. So as soon as we get done here, we'll talk about that. I know that all of us coaches would love that. So, all right, man, I really appreciate it. Do you have any shout outs that you want to shout out, especially to your wife? Because, during football season, she's she's like my wife or the other wives out there. They don't see us.
Yeah, I'm worried when I have to go back to work that I'm going to get divorced. I've been doing so many projects at home. And as you guys know, that is not the case normally. So I'm worried what things are going to be like when I get to go back to work. But, shout out to my wife. She is a hero. She's holding it down all the time. So